Here are all the references in Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us music video that might have gone over your head, and I say that because a lot of them went over my head. I had to watch this 3 to 5 times just to get some of these references. I had to do some research, I had to dig, but I did it all so you don't have to. Let's get right into it. I did a breakdown yesterday that's some of the more obvious things. We went over that, so you can go watch that on my Instagram, but let's get right into it. The first thing is Whitney wearing a wife beater. Now, if you remember, the big allegation on Family Matters and on The Heart Part 6 by Drake is that Kendrick allegedly beat his wife, Whitney, and hid the evidence. Now, plain sight, the first thing we see from Whitney in this music video, not only dispelling that they aren't together or that they aren't able to be a happy family with her smiling and dancing and, crip walking on top of Drake's grave, basically, with the kids, we saw her in a wife beater. Now, that was not unintentional. That was a slick way to basically poke fun at the fact that Drake is saying that Kendrick beat her. Now, whether or not that's true, I don't have any evidence to say that it is. All I have is her evidence wearing this tank top, which is called a wife beater. To me, that dispels the allegation right in front of the world's face, okay? Next up, we have the caged bird. Okay, the caged bird, not only does it represent, of course, the OVO owl and potentially the OVO team behind bars, that could be one theory, but also there's a very famous poem from Maya Angelou that talks about the owl being caged. It's called Caged Bird, okay? And in that poem, it said, "The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown," okay? And the next line is, "But longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom." This is such a clear reference. Basically, Kendrick saying that all Drake can do now is sing. All he can do is make the bops, is try to make the hits, is do songs with Camila Cabello, is try to be pop. But anytime he tries to rap, Kendrick has 5 more songs in stock if he tries to re-engage with Kendrick on a rap level. And he's basically saying, go do your little songs over there. Sing, because all the caged bird can do is sing. Next up, we have a potential release date for either a new single or a new Kendrick album. Now, my brother sent me this tweet. He told me I should open my eyes more because I did not see this. But on the side of Kendrick's jacket, it says August 8th, 2024, okay? That means that we may be getting new Kendrick Lamar music very soon. Next up, we have the Dark Lane demo tapes version of Drake being thrown to the background as he tries to attack Kendrick from the back paws. Okay, I knew that this was supposed to represent Drake at first, but I didn't really put the 2 and 2 together of the shiesty mask he had on, which he was clearly doing in the Dark Lane demo tapes era. But not only that, that was the time when Drake put out Tootsie Slide. And what did Kendrick say on the record? He said, you can't Tootsie Slide your way out of this one, meaning there's no hit that you can put, there's no hit record that you can put out that's going to dispel all the rumors, all the things that I'm talking about. Whereas when Drake put out Tootsie Slide, it was right after there was a video that was released of him kissing this girl who was 17 on stage, and it kind of overshadowed that news by Tootsie Slide being such a big hit. Now, speaking of 17-year-olds, the amount of push-ups that Kendrick does on this song, and again, I'm just telling you the fact, is 17 and a half, okay? Kendrick does 17 push-ups, gets off of the stool, and goes back on to do half of another push-up, but he never comes back up. So that, to me, is a clear reference to say that Drake likes young women. It's another thing that he's been talking about clearly on the last few records, and he's saying maybe there's evidence of Drake being with a 17-and-a-half-year-old or an almost 18-year-old. If you look up Bella, if you look up some other things online, we don't have to get into that in this video, but it's dispelling the push-ups theory, which is that Top is extorting Kendrick for all of his music, with Top being in the music video, him doing push-ups, and the fact that he clearly chose to get off the bar and go back on and do that last half of a push-up. you don't think Kendrick's calculated enough to do that on purpose, then I'm talking to the wrong audience, okay? I'm talking to the person who knows how calculated and strategic Kendrick is. Next up, we have DeMar DeRozan being in the music video. Of course, he was a hero in Toronto. I'm from Canada. If you guys don't know, DeMar DeRozan was basically the next Vince Carter for Canada, and that is with all love and due respect to Vince Carter, my favorite player of all time. But he was the closest thing we had to a hero in Toronto, in Canada, when it came to someone who could take us and maybe give us a ring. Now, we didn't get a ring with DeMar, but Drake and him were great friends. He is from Compton, so this was basically showing his allegiance, and maybe even the fact that he wasn't as close to Drake as he may have portrayed. They did meet together, they did meet at his house when he first signed, they did have a friendship, but maybe it wasn't as strong as people think, and maybe a lot of Drake's relationships, which we're clearly seeing, were maybe more surface level than we might have thought at the beginning, because clearly a lot of them are falling apart. This is a personal theory of mine, but the angel numbers that existed in this song, there was a 444 tattoo on the girl's shoulder when she passed Kendrick the Bible, and then there was a 555 in terms of the time code of the music video. It was 555, 5 minutes and 55 seconds. I think that was intentional. That means great change. It means trust the transition that's coming. It means that you were guided heavily by angels in the next chapter of your life. I personally have a 555 tattoo right here, and I've seen that number guide me, so I'm just putting that out there. I think Kendrick was intentional with that, especially when he talks about being guided by angels so many times. Then we have a little bit more conspiratorial, but we will throw out these theories and see what you guys think. So the shipping containers that Kendrick was so clearly in front of when DeRozan was there, when Dave Free was there, when some of the dancers were dancing in front of the shipping containers, I think the shipping containers is a reference to The Wire. I've seen a couple people talk about this on Twitter. There's an episode in The Wire, I believe it's season 2, episode 3. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't watch The Wire, which I do need to watch. It's on my list. But that episode, when I was reading the summary, basically talks about the shipping of prostitutes through shipping containers. And if you look at the themes that Kendrick's bringing up about Drake's crew, I don't know exactly what he's referencing, but he's going somewhere in that direction. Baca had a case for human trafficking. Okay, Baca has a weird case. Why is he around? I think something in that ballpark is being referenced by Kendrick. Finally, on the intro to the song, that Kendrick was previewing at the beginning of the music video, he says he's reincarnated. Now, July 4th, of course, is Independence Day, but July 4th, 1996, I believe, I gotta re-look it up, was Tupac's last performance. Now, somebody commented this on my TikTok video. The House of Blues, Sunset Strip, West Hollywood, California, on July 4th, 1996, and released on both CD and DVD on September 5th, 2005. So, he could be referencing that he is Pac reincarnated, and if you remember anything about Tupac and Biggie's beef, which I wasn't around for, but looking back on it did not seem like he was letting up when it came to the Hit 'Em Up music video. He went full force, and this is what Kendrick is doing, reincarnated with Pac's Gemini energy in LA. So those are all the things I noticed. Let me know if there's any more that you want me to cover in a separate video. Hopefully we get new Kendrick music soon, but I'm super excited to just see what happens next. I'm excited to see what Drake does next. I'm a big Drake fan musically, so I really am excited for what comes next. I do think that this is potentially the knot on this beef and battle totally, but if Drake does decide to engage Kendrick, like he said, he has 5 more in stock. Oh, and on the hopscotch clip, shout out to my boy Kev2 Talks. Saw him post about how Kendrick was referencing the classic memed video where the guy is saying how much he hates the man, and he's wearing that white hat and the same outfit, and Kendrick is basically doing that, referencing back to Euphoria when he says, I hate the way that you talk, I hate the way that you walk. Of course, the DMX reference was there too, but anyways, that was another thing I noticed. But let me know in the comments what you guys noticed, if any of this seems true, doesn't seem true. I'm open to hearing feedback. My name is Jeremy Hecht. We will see you in the next video, and enjoy the weekend. Peace.